There we go. Now I do. Hey, how you doing, everybody? Good to see you. We've got currently 7 people in the chat, but I know we've got Smash Time and Tomcat 941 in the house. So good to see you guys. I titled this "Struggles of YouTube," and what does that mean? Struggles with YouTube. Well, hey Lance, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for popping in. Smash Time's there too. All right. So the struggles with YouTube. I'd say if I was just starting YouTube, I wish I had some mentoring. I originally had a gentleman who helped me out in the very beginning a little bit. This was back when you had to they had private messages with YouTube. They no longer have that, and this guy was super cool, but out of nowhere, the guy just offed himself, and it was a very tough thing to see and deal with at the time because I really didn't have any friends. I just started YouTube one day and said I'm going to do this because I used to get fed up watching gun reviews with what people were doing, what people were saying, the way they were doing it, and I would say I think I could do better. And then I actually did it when my wife handed me a $50 camera and said, if you could do better, then do it. And I thought I could do better, but I tell you, I was so bad. And I never quite settled into my own way of doing things. It's easy to try to copy somebody else, but you can't copy anybody else because in the very time you start to copy somebody else, you find yourself that you're not being you. And that's actually hard to learn that. And so, if I could advise anybody, I would say try to be as creative as you possibly could be. You're going to have to come up with ideas that you didn't know that you were able to do. You're going to have to come up with ideas and thoughts because initially, when I started, oh, I just spilled my pop. When I started YouTube initially, my thing was just get content up, just get content up, content, and I'm still like that to a degree. But the idea of coming up with something, or at least have something in the works to come up with something that will be exciting for the viewer, something that you specifically would watch. That takes effort. Smash time 5.56. Thanks, brother. Oh man, we have Disastrous Effect, Fluffy, Defense Dad, SPN. He makes some good videos there. Dave Dobas, The Saint, TAB videos, BEM, Fluffy. All right, welcome everybody. Well, I was talking about if I came up with a YouTube channel and I was just starting out, how would I do it? I would try to be as creative as possible. I would also understand that there are going to be haters out there. When I first started this, I remember I would get some hate, and I was told it would come, but then when it actually came, I was thinking, man, I like this person must know a lot. And I think a lot of people on this channel do know a lot, but there are a lot of people that they know just enough to be dangerous. And when you're just enough to be dangerous, you're just enough to distract the person making the video. So I had to learn to let go of that. Another thing, I working with manufacturers is really something. I know a lot of people think that, well, you just work with all these manufacturers, you get everything for free. That's not exactly true. I I buy things locally. I buy guns, ammo, gear locally, quite a bit. Recently, I picked up the Ruger EC9S. I've been wanting to check that out for a while, and I picked it up locally. I got a great deal, met a great guy, and we hung out for a little bit. We talked guns and gear and deals and everything else going on, and we had a decent time with it, and so Sometimes you work with the manufacturers, but there's a little caveat to that. There are some, and I'm not saying firearm manufacturers, by and large, if you happen to get a firearm from a manufacturer, by and large, they just send the gun and they're hands off. But it's the products that I struggle with. I struggle with products because it doesn't matter how hard you work on it, what you do, what you say, how you demonstrate it. It is never, ever, ever enough. Oh, you forgot to mention the coating on the product, which is so much better than everybody else's, and it gets old rather quickly. I do very few product reviews. If I could have a house filled with holsters, if I was willing to do all of that. GB Guns in the house. Thanks, brother. 10 $10 super chat. I appreciate it. Jessica Simpson. Um, so product reviews are a little difficult because everybody wants their product featured time and time again. There have been occasions where a manufacturer attempted to take over the channel. Well, if we send this to you, what are you going to do? And you get it for 2 days and you're getting emails saying, well, where is it? Where is it? I will tell you, for the people who watch videos on a regular basis, watching a video and producing a video are not in the same category. You say, well, tell us something we don't already know. Well, for 25 years, I've rented houses. Now I only have one property that I rent. But for 25 years, I had 7 properties. Hey, thanks, SPN. I appreciate it, brother. Wow, getting these super chats. I wasn't expecting this. But it was really interesting because when I would rent these houses, I've had hundreds of families. I've dealt with divorces. I've dealt with like homes that didn't even look the same prior. And that's part of it, yes, but it's very expensive. I've dealt with squatters. I've dealt with full evictions with everything from the couch and the computer on the front lawn. I dealt with dealing with city and everything to that degree. And everybody who's ever rented a property in their life thinks that they know what it takes to be a landlord. Well, you have to do it like this. Well, some of the advice I would get in the past was you, you need to get really good tenants. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Well, the same effect takes place with YouTube. The people are viewers and they say, you need to do this. You didn't say anything about this, or this thing has me all riled up, and yet you remain silent. Meanwhile, I may not even have known what was happening. It could be brand new. And so it gets kind of difficult sometimes when you have certain people have an idea of how things are supposed to go, but they really don't know what goes on behind the scenes. And behind the scenes can be stressful. It can be it can take up too much brain space to a degree that you wish you didn't even take it on. There were certain manufacturers, primarily optic manufacturers, that I agreed to check out their products, and then they started saying, "Okay, now if we do this, you're going to have to do this, and you're going to." I said, "You know what? Just keep it. I don't want to deal with it because if that's how it's going to be, and you're going to tell me what to do, then I'm not interested in reviewing your product." And they say, "No, no, no, Dan, no." I'm like, I didn't even get it yet, and you're telling me what I have to do. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. I don't see you going to the range and doing all this stuff and drop testing it and doing all this stuff, but you're gonna send it and want me to do it. I don't think so. Are you gonna fix the scratch on my gun when I do that? So I would also say that to the new YouTuber, you have to do shorts. Originally, I thought shorts was nothing more than a TikTok glorified by YouTube and this and that, but it's like if you don't get in on it, then you're missing out and you're cheating yourself. So that is pretty imperative to do shorts. I learned how to take full length videos and cut it down to make it into a short. But that's some of the advice I would give somebody is that when you feel like you're fighting the camera, that's when it's time to walk away. When you feel like the the viewers' comments are getting the best of you, pack up, try again tomorrow. If you feel like the manufacturer's adding pressure on you, tell them you'll send the product back. Don't let somebody take over what you have going and what you have established. It can be easy to do. And haters, let me tell you something about haters. Haters actually help the channel. You need haters. If you have haters, that means you're doing something right. If you have people that say you're wrong, you don't know what you're talking about, that means you're doing something right, because to attempt to appease everybody, you appease nobody. And that's just some of the advice I would give people in the video space. If you're going to make videos, though, sometimes people say, if I only started 10 years ago, there is room for everybody right now. Right now, look at all these AI people that show up out of nowhere and bank in major views with other people's work. Okay. Do I think they're doing a good job? They're great editors. They make great thumbnails. But no, I don't think they're doing a good job because it's fake. And it's verified fake by me, because I was in contact with some of them after I had YouTube strikes take place. And they'd say, "Oh, please take the strike away. Please take." And I'd say, "No, no, you stole my stuff. I told you to remove it. You didn't remove it. So there you go." And that's how that went. But it could be stressful, it could be tough, it could be expensive. Don't underestimate the expense it takes to make a YouTube channel, especially in the gun world. You look at the gun world, to make a simple range review, I can't go out into my backyard and just start shooting like some people. That would be awesome, but I don't have that right now. So when you do this, you have to make sure your camera batteries are charged. You have to make sure you have all the right ammo. You have to make sure that you have extra mags for your guns. You have to make sure that you have the information that you want. There have been times I've left the house with a range bag filled with guns and came back and said I forgot to do what I wanted to do with this one. And so it can be overwhelming at times. There have been times I've gone there and I didn't have my SD card in the camera. There have been times I shot the lights out with something and forgot to push record. There have been times when I would get there and I realized I could hardly talk. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I can typically just say what's on my mind, and other times when that little red light's on in that camera, it gets difficult. And those are just some of the struggles that you have with YouTube. That is YouTube itself. I got an email today from YouTube that said a lot of the comments aren't showing up. Well, I started to wonder about that, because I would answer all these comments and then refresh to see what I had left, and there were all the same comments that I already responded to. I couldn't even figure out which ones I did not respond to. So YouTube itself, it's always changing. Now, let me say something good about YouTube, because I remember this quite well. About 8, 9 years ago, the buzz all over the web was YouTube is going to remove gun channels. That's what they said. Like, YouTube is going to remove gun channels. All those liberals are going to screw everything up, and they're going to remove gun channels, or they're going to make them all demonetized where people don't want to do it. And when remind me, I have to talk a little bit about monetization. But here we are, 8, 9, 10 years later, and Firearm and guns and range and all that is still being featured on YouTube. So all the predictions turned out to be false. Now, There were times when I felt like this whole thing is just going to be temporary because YouTube's going to go away and well, they're not going to go away, but they're going to remove the gun channels. That could still happen. That really could happen. And there's always a possibility that could happen. So if I was advising a new YouTuber, I would say branch out a little bit, learn how to write reviews. I've been writing reviews for years now. And it started out with just a 3, 4 paragraphs. I submitted one yesterday with 1,100 words. It was a comparison review, and so all that helps. And I should be in print pretty soon. So that's what's going on. Um, I had a real unique experience with the Desperado made by American Guncraft. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it's a black powder side by side 12 gauge. It's actually a pistol. Has 11-inch barrels called the Desperado, and I had to learn how to do and how to use black powder. And TAB, who is in the chat right now, he was right there by me side by side, and it was there's more to that than what you think. But there's an easy way to do it and a hard way to do it. And I think TAB and I chose the hard way to do it. And then when we were getting ready to wrap it up, was one of those times I didn't push record, and it was something we had to do all over again, and that happens all the time. But good to see everybody here. Let me run through. We got Luke P, 13th Apostle, Farhan, Jonathan Jackson, Samus. What's up? Wow. GB Guns, I see again. SPN, Dave Dobus. There we have Libra, Peter Quill, Romans. It's so cool to see everybody that I see in the comments here on live. And it's just the struggles of YouTube can be overwhelming at times, and it's a lot more time. You hear people say, if you're going to do this, you have to be willing to put your time in. And I will tell you, I have had many 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. evenings or morning, I should say, that I find myself doing stuff that I didn't plan to do, but I really wanted to get something up. So it can be hard. Many of you know that I live in Michigan. I've lived in Michigan my whole life. For a short while, I went to college in Ohio, graduated, and now I'm at a point where I've got over 30 years in my career that I never revealed. And if you're really keen, you'll see if you read the comments every now and again somebody says something that sort of gives away what I've done for 30 years. But I'm on the verge of retiring there. I'm not going to retire completely. I'm going to retire from that job, but I'm going to be looking in the state that they call the heart of it all. You know what that is? Ohio, looking to move south to Ohio. And in Ohio, it's a more free state. I tell you, Michigan was always fair. It was always okay. It was always, yeah, it could be a lot better, but it's getting kind of lefty over here. Well, what went kind of lefty went full all out liberal. And that's where my wife and I drew the line, and we said, we got to get out of here. This is just not worth dealing with at this time. And you say, well, what could be so bad? Well, you look at they want to register long guns. Most states have zero firearm registration. Ohio doesn't. Ohio has constitutional carry. Ohio has permitless carry. Ohio is cash and carry with any firearm transaction. With Michigan, you fill out a whole bunch of paperwork. Tedious, I could still live with that. Then they have red flag laws. Now they're talking about magazine restrictions. Now they're talking about this and that and assault gun bans and all that. Well, the Supreme Court held up rifle bans. You know, the Supreme Court held that up. So if the state of Maryland wants to do that, if the state of Illinois wants to do that, they can do that. Well, I can see it happening in Michigan. So I don't trust them. So we're going to move to Ohio. We've been looking. Actually, my wife was down there today, looked at 6 different homes. She's got expensive taste, I will tell you. But yeah, so I'm going to be looking to retire and move to Ohio, a little more, a lot more free state, and we know exactly where we want to be, or so somewhere in the area. But we're looking forward to that. Another thing in getting back to the YouTube thing is lighting. You have to, if you're a new YouTuber, you want to make sure your lighting is good. That can be tricky, especially outdoors. You want a overcast day. Too many shades will too many shades on a sunny day will ruin your video pretty much. All right. Well, hey, good to see everybody here. I started out talking about YouTube. I was talking about the 12 gauge American Guncraft Desperado. Real interesting concept for those who understand black powder. They know that it's a process, but it's super cool. It goes about this big, and it's a side by side 12 gauge that packs a punch. The easiest way to do that is just to stick a slug in there and a powder pellet and a primer, and you're good to go. Had TAB and I, if we just did that the whole time, it would be easy. But I've got some things in the cooker. I've got some pretty decent things. If if I were to change directions of the channel away from gun reviews and go into 2A news and just report on 2A news, those channels tend to do very, very well. And I used to get into that a little more than I do, and I used to mix it up a little better than I do now. But it just seems that, my comfort zone is gun reviews. That's what I enjoy doing, and people tell me I'm pretty decent at it. So, and also one more thing, I'll let you in a little secret. There is, well, you may hear my voice on another channel very shortly, and it's a little deal that I have going on that is could be advantageous for all parties involved. We'll see how it works out. But I'll put a community post out, and maybe you guys, if you see it, you can check it out. And I will have access to a lot more firearms when this whole thing goes down. And it won't be firearms that I own, but it'll be firearms that I can feature, and in many cases go shoot them. So to get your hands on firearms, some of the best YouTubers have friends with a lot of guns. Okay, because you have a large supply of what you can work with. So that's my advice to those who are new to YouTube, those who struggle with ideas. You keep it's like anything else. You go on, you want to work out. Well, the first week, 2 weeks, you're going to struggle. You're going to be sore. You're going to be struggling for time. You're going to realize that you're not as strong as you once were. You're going to do all this stuff, but you just have to keep it going. You take one step backward, 2 step forward with everything. One step backward, 2 steps forward. Next thing you know, you're already across the room. Next thing you know, you're down the block. Yeah, you're going to get kicked around a lot, but that's part of it. And that's one thing that is hard with a lot of people is longevity. When I first started this, the people that I knew back then, the people that I used to communicate with, that a lot of them just stopped making videos and just packed up and left the whole YouTube scene. And then there are others that I talk to on a regular basis. So people would get all involved in everything, then realize, you know what, this isn't fun like I thought it would be. So I'm out. And I started in 2011, so I'm in year 13 of this. And no, I actually, yeah, 13 years, 13 years. And the following here is really good. I really like the followers here. They are just amazing, and I learn a lot. And that's another thing. You have to be open to learn because there's a lot that you don't know. And I don't care who you are, what experience you have when you're talking about guns, ammo, and gear, there will always be a lot that you don't know. Okay, let's see who we have here. Let's see. Kay Bauer says that he enjoys reviews and finds them informative, but then he also said something else. Where is that? I appreciate that. I think he said too much 2A news is exhausting. We had Gizzard Gary there. Let's see. Samus says, I love your honest gun reviews. Appreciate it. I found that you are dialed in with describing your experience with firearms. I appreciate that. It wasn't always that way. If you look at some of my videos from years back, I tell you, I I had to learn. I had to learn a lot. And anybody who makes videos and they're honest with themselves, they will tell you they had to learn a lot. Even just the opening line, like how am I going to present this? How am I going to open this thing up and get going without 100 different edits. Here we have Bubba Bogey. You do great reviews. You go to 2A, change your channel name. The 2A information is good. Yeah, I used to do more of that. And then sometimes when things come up, I get upset that I didn't cover it. There's the one. It was B Watt. They're just exhausting to watch. It's rarely good news. Yeah, I agree with that. It is, and it like I don't want to always get on you. Like sometimes you work all day and you come home and you fire up the web, and the last thing you want to do is get depressed about how someone's going. You're just going to lose all your rights, and Biden this, Biden that. Biden himself is depressing. Harris is depressing. You listen to those people and they get a tough question and they start giggling. That's angering. It's like this place is going downhill fast, and all you could do is giggle. Really interesting. Here we have Midwest Picker. Hey, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Welcome here. Glad you're here. We have Scott. Scott's been a regular viewer. You're the man, buddy. I appreciate that. I appreciate the kind words. Do a great job. Most of the collection. Oh man, that means a lot. And I tell you what, that's one of the things talked about the struggles of YouTube, but one of the greatest benefits is something like that. When you hear that, is as hard as it gets sometimes, and sometimes you feel like just packing up and tossing it all away. You hear something like that, and it just keeps you motivated. When you have some spare time to be a guest on my next podcast, yeah, hit me up with a email. I'd love to talk about it. That sounds good. Jessica Simp. So something tells me that's a dude and his name's not Jessica. I'm not sure though. Yeah, sorry about that. Alvaro's here. I appreciate that. Wow. So it's good to see everybody here. Thought I'd pop on. It's been about a month and a half since I've done a live chat. I like it just to have this type of interactions is super cool. And to do this is a different perspective than making a video. You make a video, you get to watch the video. That's it. This is more interactive, and I appreciate that. Uh, Kev says responding to people's who leave comments. Yes, and I don't know if you're here earlier, but I got a notification from YouTube that they said that the comments, many have been deleted and they were never even posted. And then I would go through, leave a bunch of comments, I'd refresh, and all the comments I left were never even posted. And they said what they always say, we're working on it. We're working on it. You're working on it, but I just spent a half hour answering comments and they're gone. Are they just going to show up? I'm not sure, but I appreciate that. I try. I try. So, one thing that kind of surprised me is when I picked up the Ruger EC9S and I titled it Budget Ruger 9mm. I was kind of surprised at the interaction with that. That one took me off guard because the gun's been around a while. Prior to that, it was the LC9S. Prior to that, it was the LC9. The EC9S, same as the LC9S, except for it has a little heavier trigger, which is good. And it has fixed sights that are milled into the slide. Outside of that, it's pretty much the same gun, but you can't change the sights out. But they also made it less expensive. I thought about I thought about getting rid of the "Is this pistol still relevant?" series, but people say they like it. I don't know. I don't know. If you think I should dump it, let me know. Hey, Rich, good to see you, buddy. Farkle's here. Savage Lee. What is your favorite pistol? The one you'll never sell? Well, I just made a video on that. I titled it 5 firearms that are going to the grave, going to my grave. And the pistols I used was a Bull Armory Tac 4 1/4 and my Colt Python. And the Colt Python, I don't know how you guys feel. I'm pretty down on Colt currently. The way that whole thing's going with Colt and CZ-Colt, I had this confirmed, by the way. Colt is running the show there. 100%. Colt is running the show, not CZ. CZ is not the same company that they were prior to the the joining, merging, however you want to say it. Colt is running the show. So all that stuff we heard about CZ acquiring Colt, it's not true. They merged and Colt is running the show. Now, on the European side, maybe CZ's running it. Maybe they have a little more say in what's going on. But I have people telling me how wrong I am, but yet I have people that work for CZ or used to work for CZ get on there and tell me I'm right. I had one guy that just said everything that you said. Well, no, he stated it. I most of what you said is exactly true. Is how he said it. Most of what you said is exactly true. And so I actually pinned the comment because I got a lot of hate, and that's fine. I don't mind. But sometimes you have to go back and say, all you people that said I was wrong, now it's proven. Turns out I was right. Now it's not like that all the time. Many times I am wrong, but there have been times when you talk to somebody you know and trust that worked for the company for years, somebody you would talk on the phone with, and you see them at SHOT Show and they're out of that job and into something else, and they say, hey, I want to talk to you for a minute because you're not going to believe what's going on with CZ. And you start hearing this, and I say, well, what about this person? Oh, they're gone. They left. They saw the writing on the wall. Oh, so and so's gone. The CEO is not gone by choice. They got the female, she got let go. And all of this, everything we built from turning CZ into a moderate sales, military contracts, law enforcement kind of deal, especially overseas. But they had a decent to basically just this company that so many people were chasing after. They built it up that way. Colt came in and ruined it, got rid of them, and now it's all about Colt. So I am pretty pretty pessimistic about what to expect with CZ in the future. They are going to put out a new P10C. That was in the works well before Colt merged with CZ. That was in the works well before. So they say, well, they're going to put out a new P10C. So you didn't know what you were talking about. Do you know how long it takes from beginning to end to put out a gun? You don't just 3D print a frame and throw some parts in there and throw it on the market. Like it takes years. And you look at car with the X9, they've been working on that for years. These are not baseball bats. These are not the type that you could just go by and enjoy and dribble around the park like a basketball. These are firearms that people are going to use to protect themselves. It has to be pretty darn good. It has to work more often than it doesn't. And when when you're in charge of this, of a company that people are going to protect their lives, and if they hear the dreaded click at that time when they need that gun to fire and it doesn't work, that's a problem. And you know that a long time ago, there's a spaceship that went down. Well, spaceship, I guess that's what it was called, but one of the Apollos, it went down. They said it went down, but like $1.50 part went bad. Like $1.50 part, a multi-million operation, and a little $1.50 or 75-cent part went bad, and the whole thing went down, and people lost their lives. I'd hate to be the manufacturer of that part. And so it takes years and years and years to get the design team, get the engineers to try to make this thing stand out from the rest. What are we going to do? Oh, we're going to change the slide serrations. That's fine. How's it going to affect the cycling? How's it going to affect? And we, as the buyer, say, just do it this way. It's not going to affect anything. We don't know that. You may have success with one type of ammo and not another. And what if it's one of those people that throw that type that it doesn't work, they throw it in there and just start carrying it without shooting? Or just as bad, what if it gets in the hands of some YouTuber that rips them to death when it's a pre-production model? This thing's horrible. Don't buy this. It's just not that. I don't think that's responsible. You have to work and help them do the best job they can. So if somebody like you has to use it to protect yourself, that gun's going to function exactly as it's intended to. And that will be the true measure of a good gun. CZ has to maintain the reliability record. They cannot launch. That's true. That's true. I tell you what, a couple bad YouTube videos could really. You guys remember Honor Defense? Honor Defense had a firearm similar to a Smith and Wesson Shield. It was a little overbuilt. The gun world treated Gary, was the owner's name. He's out now. Treated him terribly. Do you know why they treated him terribly? Because his gun wasn't drop safe. Okay, the gun should be drop safe. Do you know how many guns are not drop safe? If you took a mallet and loaded up your guns and just whacked the back of them, I would be willing to bet you would be surprised at how many fired. Not all guns are drop safe. But when it gets in the hands of a YouTuber that intentionally whacks this thing and it fires, then yeah, that literally could kill a specific gun or even a manufacturer. And I think that's what happened with Honor Defense. And I really felt bad for the guy because he worked so hard and did everything that he felt was right. And his gun did fire with a mallet in the back. And Yes, the honor guard, honor defense, honor guard. Thanks, Kay. Yep, they weren't bad guns, but it wasn't drop safe. He was willing to clean it up. He was willing to do recalls. He was willing to do all that. And the gun world just lambasted this guy. And he worked so hard. It wasn't like the Hudson team, the husband and wife who they were nice people. I met them. They were nice people. They were just in over their head. And they made some bad investments and couldn't swim out of the deep end. And so they sank. And then thankfully, well, I don't even know if they were involved. Whoever owned the patent was purchased by DD, Daniel Defense. All right. So we have some people out here. Good to see everybody. 82 people in the chat right now. I appreciate each and every one of you. This is my fourth chat. Like I said, it's been about a month and a half since I did this. And ideally, I was going to do about once a month, but life got in the way. Had a couple health issues with family members, and we got through the majority of that. Thankfully, I tell you what, that's really when you lean on your faith. And I don't know, some people don't have faith. I have faith. I have pretty strong godly faith. It's a big part of who I am, and it means a lot. And when you hit that crisis point where things can go any direction, I find it best to lean on your faith and to pray. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. People say, "Well, all I could do is pray for you." That's the best thing you could do. That's the best thing you could do. Hey, Brew Daddy, good to see you. Brew Daddy 1911. Man, I love 1911s. When you hear somebody say, "Oh man, come on, 1911 suck," you wonder if they've ever really shot one. Like if 1911s were so horrible, then why is there this huge, amazing uprise with 2011s? It's huge. Like the 2011s are huge. That market in this bum economy that we're living in right now, that 2011 market is massive. People are spending five, six, $7,000 on a gun to get that perfect gun where they can make that perfect shot and then do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again. It's massive. And so if the 1911 so bad, then why is the super popular 2011 flourishing? Oh, we have Drop It Like It's Scott in the house. I met Scott. I met him at the NRA show. Who do we have here? Jacob, especially your gun stores. I love stuff like that. I tell you what, that was an editing nightmare. That was a lot of editing. And that's another thing for those who are going to start YouTube. You're ready to learn how to edit. When I started this, I could barely turn the computer on. I came from that age where they said, well, computers are going to be a part of the future. And we were like, yeah, 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 yeah. I believe it when I see it. They said, one day you're going to hang a TV on the wall. Yeah, believe it when I see it. All that came true. I remember my dad was a TV salesman for Zenith. And when he came home one day and the neighbors heard this was going to happen, he came home. He had this box, pulls his TV on the box, puts it on the stand. He goes, everybody watch. Next thing you know, the neighbors are pounding on the door. Hey, we want to see. He said, come on in, come on in. This was back when neighbors actually talked to each other and they knew their names and they knew their kids and they knew what they did for a living and they would have outdoor barbecues together, something that the American society does not do much anymore. So they would all come in to see what my dad was up to. He turned that TV on and it had color. And everybody was like, whoa, I could see red and blue. And they're looking at each other like, this is modern technology. And it was. And a couple years after that, my dad came home and the same thing happened. and all the neighbors came over, same ones and plus more, because he was the man who had the information on the TVs. He goes, everybody watch this. Took it right out of the box. Watch this. Had a remote about this big. He hit the button and the TV went on, and people were blown away. They were blown away. They couldn't believe it. They go, you don't have to get up to change the TV. Oh, he said, wow. He raised the volume a little bit, and people were like, whoa, modern technology is amazing. And so I grew up at a time when, if somebody would have told me I would have been making videos for a lot of people to see, I would have said, why would I do that? Who would do that? But here I am. Gizzard Gary. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, man. When people say, hey, all I could do is pray, I tell them that's the best thing you could do by far. Travis is here. Hey, thanks, Travis. Rock on yourself, brother. And then we have over here, Joe Morris, keeping on, my brother in Christ. You got that right. All right. And you could be a brother in Christ, and we could all be brothers and sisters in Christ. But there's a difference between when people say, well, can't you just give God 1 hour of your week? Oh, if I gave God 1 hour of my week, I would be empty. I wouldn't know what to do. I give much more than that. Much more than that. So, anyways, getting back to guns and ammo, the one of the reviews that I did did horrible. I like, I don't understand why. I get the whole fantastic plastic. I get it. People are sick of fantastic plastic. They say, why do I want another Striker Fire Palmer 9mm 17 round mag? I get it. I have that. I have a Glock. I have an M&P. I have a Ruger American. I have my gun. I don't need any more. I understand. But to come out with one, and what I'm talking about is the Gearson Disruptor. Gearson really made a name for themselves. They really are like putting out some pretty good stuff. We could talk about the origin of Gearson. We could talk about the factory. We could talk about all this other stuff. The fact is, people are buying them. And they're buying them because they are budget priced. How do you suppose Taurus came out of that dark place? And you want to talk about drop fires and misfires and all types of things going on with Taurus. And they were dark. Taurus was to be avoided years ago. Taurus was, if you're just getting into this and you say, oh, I love my Taurus, keep in mind, there was a time when Taurus was the devil. Okay. Just horrible. Stay away from Taurus. Some people still feel that way. The reason they still feel that way is either because they had poor customer service or they remember back in the day when Taurus was, but they came back by one producing better functioning firearms, but they priced them to sell. The PT 111, the handgun before the G2C, the G3C, the PT 111 was the one that really put Taurus back on the map. And then what happened was they did it and then they did it again. Then they came out with the GX4, then they came out the G3, where then the G3 Tactical, and they kept building on that same platform. And then when they came out with the 10mm, that one shocked me a lot. And that one I struggled with to get working properly. But then I would say after 3 or 4 boxes, it started functioning better. But Taurus kept the foot on the pedal and kept moving forward because then they came out with all the revolvers. If you look at their line of revolvers, it's pretty expansive. I mean, they have everything from the big 44 Magnum, the massive ones, rail, optic ready. that big ugly grip to the little pocket carries. And typically those perform pretty well. I mean, I have an ultralight defender with the 3-inch barrel and a night sight. It's pretty cool, but it's the budget guns that one, get new people into the shooting world. Two, it's less on the wallet. So even if you do have a big collection, you say, I can't get to hurt too bad with this. I mean, it's not that expensive. It's not like I'm going and getting a SIG 226 Legion. So it's the budget guns that people tend to gravitate toward, especially if they don't have anything, and their wife is saying, well, you keep saying you want to buy a gun, you better not spend over $300. They're going to buy a Taurus, or they're going to buy a Diamondback, or they're going to buy something that is cheap, a cheap Gearson. And that MC9 Disruptor review I did tanked. Meal Hunter says he likes Rock Island. Yeah, Rock Island, it's good. One of the reasons why Rock Island is cheap, and I know they're doing some US production, but they literally have 13-year-old kids in the Philippines assembling 1911s. Like they have like really cheap labor. And those kids, I wouldn't want to put my skills up against them because they'd probably blow me away when they whip those things up. But that's like, you're talking about the Philippines here. I mean, any one of us could quit our job now, pack up our savings, go to the Philippines and live like kings. You could have a chef, you could have a big, beautiful house, you could drive wherever you want, you could have all this stuff. But I don't want to live in the Philippines. I want to live in the US, but I don't want to live in the US with, I mean, I don't, well, I take that back. I want to live in the US, but I can't stand our stupid, nonsensical dementia president. And the one thing people say, well, we don't think Biden is, people are wondering if he's fit for all, if he's mentally fit. Hello, when people are wondering if he's mentally fit, he's not mentally fit. He's lost. And on top of that, let's say he is mentally fit. Look at these policies that drove this country to just a disastrous state. It was never like this. And this is the first time we're having two presidents run against each other that were back to back. This has never happened before. Back to back. So we saw the Trump economy. Now we see the Biden economy, which is a disaster. If Biden did nothing and stayed in the basement, we would be in a better situation. But he didn't do that. He started putting in all these liberal policies and spending our money on places that shouldn't go, like illegal Mexicans getting credit cards, getting expenses, getting health care, getting education, getting free plane tickets, getting everything they need, and yet they want to tax you more. I could never vote for that. Don't forget the wonderful commie governor. Yeah, you're right, Mio, and or Mayo. It's Mayo. It's not Mio. He lives up in Mayo. Um, you're right, and I spoke earlier that my wife and I and daughter we're looking to move to Ohio, and we're looking to do it soon. And when we do it, it'll be a it'll be a more free experience, especially with guns. But Ohio's way more conservative than Michigan. Michigan's turned into a place I just don't want to live anymore. Obama controls Biden. If that doesn't scare the daylights out of you, I don't know what will. I don't know what will. So it's it's bad. This is a guy that left thousands and thousands of high-end rifles with first-class optics, the kind that you and I would say, this one's staying with me for life, with these incredible accessories, everything was perfect. Left it for terrorists. Left it for terrorists, and yet doesn't trust you with it. And you're looking at some of these illegals coming over, the crime in those cities. Oh my goodness, they're bullying some of the local residents, squatting in their homes, all types of stuff. It's horrible. It is horrible. Here we have Lee, TAB still in the house. Bill, Midwest. Good to see everybody. I'm wondering if 8 o'clock's a good time to do these or a little bit later would be better. I don't know. Biden is just a puppet, censored one said. Yeah, and it's really a shame because this guy has big decisions to make and he has no clue. He's just out there. He was never great as a senator, but it's not until he was in this role do you see how corrupt he actually was. He's Biden's corrupt. I mean, Trump's going through all these indictments. Biden is pulling the switches on these. The Justice Department is involved with these. It's pretty bad. So, anyways, let's get back to some guns and ammo. Does anybody out there use Siley Optics or Gowutar or how about CV Life? When I was at SHOT, I went to CV Life and they've been wanting to send me stuff for years. I was like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. They make bipods, they make precision rifle scopes. I never shot a precision rifle scope. I feel like if I was gonna spend the money to get a real nice precision rifle, I wouldn't get a cheap scope. Like that's 50% of the deal right there. If I'm going to be successful with a great rifle, I need to have a great scope, 50 power. And I would never get a CV Life, but they have pistol optics. They have decent bipods that are like $40, but I was checking them out and I was like trying to figure flaws in them and I really couldn't do it. So I was thinking, man, I may give one of these a try and see how it goes. Maybe even do a review on it. Who knows? Yeah. Yeah, I hear you, Kay. Yeah, he does that. He yeah, just yesterday he said his uncle was eaten by people in one of the wars, that he was eaten by people. Said it twice. Real joker. Well, I don't know. Anything else to talk about, people? We got Lee in the house. Hey, put in the chat what your favorite 1911 is. And also put in the chat if you like 9 millimeter 1911s. And the reason I ask that is because your standard 45 ACP 1911 is 7 rounds is original, 8 rounds a little extended, but the 9 millimeter magazine is 9 rounds. So you're only gaining 1 round, and that's the big advantage with some of these double stacks is that you get so many rounds in 9 millimeter compared to 45. But a single stack 1911, you're looking at only one additional round. In that case, I'd choose the 45. TAB says any 1911. Brew Day says Colt Gold Cup National Match. That just screams quality. TNM Diecast Reviews. He likes his Kimber. Aaron says he can't afford one. Ammo is cheaper, but don't have one. Yeah. Well, the 2011s are on them. Did you ever sell your pistols? Let me answer this. Let me see if I got the right one here. Oh no, that's a 1911. Joe, that sounds awesome. Let's see. Do you ever sell your pistols? Yeah. Yeah, I do on occasion. If they sit there and do nothing, then I do, because somebody out there needs to be armed, and they don't have either the money or the knowledge to go get anything decent. And yes, I will sell them my pistol if I don't use it. If I don't, if it just sits there, and over time I have several that just sit there. Let's see. 1911 that held 10 rounds. Yeah, and I have those Mechar mags too, the 10-round ones. I actually have I have a Remington R1 Limited that holds, is it 15 rounds? I think it's 15 rounds of 45. The thing is awesome. It is awesome. Yeah, really dig that. Yeah, I'm 19 the TSIS 1911. I would like to check out their new 2011. That thing looks awesome. Here we have Dragon in the house. Welcome aboard, brother. Dragon, the regular viewer, commenter on the channel. Certainly appreciate that. Yeah, but that's another one. TSIS, the PX9. I've got the PX9 Tactical Night Stalker. That thing is that's such a nice gun. And it's RMR cut. It's it's just got a great trigger. Super nice to shoot, accurate, threaded barrel, gray Cerakote frame and slide. Just a nice gun that is not that expensive. That one's a little bit expensive, but not too bad. Not too bad at all. TSIS is they're doing some good stuff. They're imported by SDS Imports out of Knoxville, Tennessee, I believe. It's not Nashville, it's Knoxville. Yeah. Yes, that is correct. We have Travis here, Para Ordnance. Yeah, Para Ordnance, acquired by Remington. Actually, there are some of the parts on my R1 Limited 1911. It says PO on there. So when they, the Remington handguns are gone. They're still they're still producing rifles and shotguns. They basically went back to their roots. They got rid of, well, clearly the Marlin line and their ammo line. I don't know if anybody picked up their handguns. I haven't seen or heard of anything like that. But um, they they had some flops, and then they had some decent handguns, and their 1911s were actually pretty nice. They weren't super tight. They weren't like flawless, but they were $650, and they had the G10, they had the stainless and the blued models and all that stuff, but they worked well, and they had the fiber optic front sights and everything. So, no, Dwayne, I'm fine. Dwayne says I sound like I'm down. No, if I sound like I'm down, it's because we were just talking about Biden. So everything's fine here. Yeah, I don't mean to make it sound like, no. It's actually kind of over an hour here and just hanging out, talking to everybody. What I say? Ewat says he has the T-Says duty, feels cheap in the hand compared to his Rock Island, but shoots better and cycles great and never failed after 7. Yeah, those are nice. And I believe the duty has the threaded barrel and possibly night sights. I'm not sure. That's about a $370 gun. You get a lot for the money with that. That's pretty cool. Well, fellas, we're at hour 4 now. I'll take a look at the chat. Desert Eagle 1911U. Yeah, I have that. That is awesome. That's got a 3-inch barrel. Yep. Jessica, do you have the The stainless or the blued model? I've got the stainless. That's a really nice. It is, what did I say? 7 rounds. 7 rounds of 45. Yep. What do we have here? Libra says, I got the law enforcement Ruger American Duty 45. Yeah, that Underwood stuff is serious. Not your normal 45 round, but where 45 should be. Yes, I have that same one, but mine's not designated law enforcement. I've got the gray model that came CZ-Colt from the factory. Let's see. Fluffy says still going. Well, where'd it go? What'd he say? Right here. Dan's still going to try to get a meet and greet and shot going this year. You're doing that, Fluffy? Are you doing a meet and greet? That would be cool. I never planned on doing it. Tanfolio Witness, long slide from the 90s. Oh man, I bet that thing is awesome. Let's see. We got Lance Kelly. Lance comments on every single video. And that is even some of my real duds. That's another thing. I started out by talking about YouTube. Get ready because even you could try your hardest, and the ones that you think will do well don't, and the ones that you think are going to do horrible do awesome. Who can explain it? Dwayne, good job. I have a Gearson regard. Uses bread. Yeah, I had that. I got rid of that. No issues. Can't find factory 18 round. Yeah, go with Metgar. Pretty sure they make that with the +2 base plate. Yeah, Metgar makes great mags. They work with Sig. I think Sig may have dropped them and started going on their own because Metgar will typically stamp their mags Metgar. But if they have contracts not to do that, then they will not do that. I mean, they're a business like any others. They have to make their money. What else do we have going on here? Just put Bear Creek Arsenal. You know, Bear Creek just came out with a Grizzly. They call it the Grizzly. It's a Glock pattern handgun. So all the people that say, I'm so sick of fantastic plastic, compact, polymer, striker fire, they're a dime a dozen. Are you also sick of the Glock pattern handguns coming out? And if you are, I get it. It can be exhausting. But the Grizzly MSRP is around $360. That's budget priced. And it has slide cuts and it's optic ready. So all those people who said these budget handguns, I'm not talking Turkish made, I'm not talking made overseas with cheap labor and parts and mem parts and everything else. They said if these companies that are US based can make a handgun and sell for $350, how bad has Glock been ripping us off all these years? And I've heard that a lot. And I'm not saying they're wrong, but the only way you get ripped off is if you are the type, and I respect this, but if you're the type that's going to buy like every single Glock out there, and then get sights, and then get a trigger, then get a steel guide rod, then get extended takedown, then get your grip stippled, and then this and that, and this is like, it adds up. So yeah, the $500 Glock new is gone. It's the MOS versions are over $600. What do we have here? Dale said every other gun related channel is experiencing the same issue with the comments. Yes. YouTube is dropping people's subscriptions. Yes. And so you have to check to see if you are still subscribed. Yes. Thank you, Dale. I have had multiple people, and this is not just recently, this has been going on a long time. Multiple people tell me that they were once subscribed and no longer are. And they know for a fact they did not unsubscribe me. Dwayne, Bear Creek Arsenal, we were just talking about it. Check those out. And they have side chargers for, which is nice because charging handle won't get in the way of your optic if you're running a decent sized optic. But yes, YouTube is having issues with the comments. They're having issues. Well, I don't know if they're having issues. I don't know if what's going on there, but they are unsubscribing people. I I don't know, like we tend to say it's happening only to gun channels. Not That's not true all the time, but I do believe there is a little target on our back. That part I I do agree with. I think that's I I I'm not sure they value us, but they still allow us to feature pretty freely the content that we want to feature. So in that regard, they've superseded expectations from 10 years ago or so. Yeah, so right size charging. R4 Mississippi Thunder said YouTube is changing notification status as well. I didn't hear that. Yeah, YouTube is always changing something, some for the good, some not good. There are people that, well, some of the most popular YouTube channels will say you need to take advantage of every single opportunity that YouTube offers. So, channel memberships. If you were on my chat last time, I talked about opening up channel memberships. I never did that yet. I don't have Patreon. I don't like the idea of asking people for money. All right. I don't like that idea. But at the same point, there are things that you can do and actually make a little side community with your members. And that seems pretty cool. And so I was going to do that and I never did. Perhaps I should. I don't know. Last time I asked people if anybody would be interested in joining, and a lot of people said they would. Have you seen the Sig Sauer Equinox 1911? I've seen a ton of Sig 1911s. I'm not sure if I saw the Equinox. I'm wondering what would make that any different. Gun Tests Magazine. Nick Knox says, where'd it go? Gun Tests Magazine. I remember seeing a online version, if that's what you're talking about. Smash time. Dan, are you starting OnlyFans? I really don't even know what OnlyFans is. But to answer your question, Smash, yes, I'm starting OnlyFans. Whatever that is. Oh, sounds kind of perverted in a way. Sure it is. All right. I have a BCA side charger, Gen 2 20-inch here. Haven't shot it yet. Oh, that's cool, Fluffy. That's really cool. So that's one thing that's cool too, is that the variety of firearms that people have. You know, when I feature a gun, a lot of people say, "Yeah, that looks fine, everything," but I'm not giving up my so and so, and you know, it's just something that maybe you haven't thought about in a while, or you know, I have this, and I like the what you're showing, but I like mine more because it has this. Well, that's cool. I read all of those. So if you're ever wondering if people actually read your comments, I do. Too early, Dan. Still driving home. Well, you made it. Yeah, next time I might start this at 9. Who knows? I was going to do this about once a month. It's been about once every, well, a month and a half since I've done it last. But I don't know, guys. Is it time to wrap it up? I believe so. Coffee. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. I certainly enjoyed hanging out and spend some time with you. Um, I should have some things coming up, some things you haven't seen before, others, maybe a comparison or two. Yeah, I've got to get to the range and do some things, check out some new things, but I do plan to keep one foot forward and just keep moving. I originally talked about YouTube and how you get kicked down a little bit, but you keep taking one step forward, two steps back. I've been doing that for years and years and years. One step back is never fun, but you use all your might you can to take those two steps forward. Next thing you know, you're a little further than you thought you would be, and you know it's never to a point where you're like, oh, things are so great. Oh, you know, some people may be that way. I'm not, but there's always room for improvement and finding out what that improvement means and what sacrifices you have to do to make that happen, and learning about it and trying to get better and trying to be a better demonstrator and use words more proficiently as well as shoot well. It can be challenging. It can be challenging. You never quite have it, but you can never, ever, ever stop trying. And as long as you're sacrificing and putting forth effort, your works will pay off. And I say that very confidently. And I also say that with a lot of experience. Failure is good if you learn from it. Failure is bad if you're a snowflake and you pack up and take your ball and go home and go cry to mommy and ask grandma for ice cream. That's where you're not going to advance in this world, because as bad as the government is, this is still America. It's the land of opportunity. It's not the land of entitlement. Some people have that backwards. It's the land of opportunity. How do you get your opportunity? Through hard work, sacrifice, learn from your mistakes, keep moving forward. Don't take no for an answer. Get through that wall, climb over that wall, dig a tunnel underneath that wall, but you get to the other side and you will find success just in time to do it all over again, because this is a journey called life, and you never want to retire from it because you'll expire from it. And if you expire from it, start digging your own grave. But if you can keep moving forward and keep the eye on the ball, stay focused, be willing to sacrifice, get kicked, and then fall down, but get your butt back up, keep moving forward, and you will be exactly where you want it to be from the very beginning. It's called goal setting, and you never, ever, ever quit. I've certainly enjoyed this chat. I hope you guys have too. I appreciate each and every person that was here. You guys are amazing. You keep me motivated. And I just want to express my appreciation for every single one of you who have been so dedicated to this channel. I'm not the firearm guy. We are the firearm guy. We're respectful, but yet we're resilient, and we will bicker about our issues, but in the end, we're all on the same team. Have a good night. God bless you, and I'll see you with the next video.